All right. I am excited. Welcome to the Backyard Professor Chess Videos. Let's get this show on the road. Okay. One of the truly forgotten great chess players was the international grandmaster Larry Evans. When he was just 15 in the Frank Marshall Chess Club Championship, 1947 1948, he played this game against one of the truly strongest players in the entire club, Pilnick. Larry is 15 years old in this game. So let's go to the board. He's playing the white pieces. Let's go to the board. He puts together the most spectacular attack combination I have ever seen. And he gets 3 exclamation points for his masterful move. It's that good. Let's go to the board. E4, E6, righty. D4, perfect center. If you can always get those 2 pawns together in the center, then by all means take it, right? Now, of course, he's not going to let you go uncontested. No, but this is always a good, appropriate start. Now, if it's possible, don't move more than those 2 pawns. Now it's time to begin getting your pieces out, right? Now, the defect, if it is a defect, in this particular setup is this prevents the white bishop from getting out very far, just so you're aware. I call it a defect on purpose. I don't know if it's a defect. It's just a difference between, see, this white bishop can come all the way out. And so can this black squared bishop, because both of those central pawns have been moved out. So the white bishops are more free. They have more freedom and more range in this opening than the black bishops. Okay, so just be aware of that when you play these kinds of openings. Knight f6, a good start. And here we go, bishop g5. Put the pin on the knight, pinning the knight to the queen, which of course takes away the influence of these 2 squares. So the knight is hitting this, and the pawn is hitting this one. And this pawn only has 1 defender, the king pawn. However, with the pin, now it's only 1-on-1. The knight could not respond without losing the queen. That's the power of that bishop pin. So this is good information to know. Now he breaks the pin. Pilnick breaks the pin. So now the pin no longer applies. The knight is also fighting for the center automatically. And interestingly, Larry Evans takes the knight. Now today, this isn't so much. We don't quite do it this way so soon unless we have very good reason. Usually a little bit later, but this is in 1947-48. Let's see how they handled this. The bishop will take the bishop. So he gives up his bishop pair, and a lot of us don't like doing that these days and ages, but let's keep watching. Now, interestingly enough, again, with the way we have come to utilize the game and understand the game, Evans pushes the pawn already immediately. Now, they each have just 1 piece developed. So this push, I can't call it premature, but it's early. And that's not necessarily a mistake, but there's better moves. So many pawn moves instead of development of pieces. Today, the way we play, black would have had another piece out already, potentially, probably. So in a way, this kind of dates the game, doesn't it? And interestingly enough, Pilnick put his bishop back. And that's not what we would do either. We would have brought it out to here or here. We would have brought that bishop out. I think a little more. Although there are issues with it. Yeah. But he did give up his dark square bishop for the knight. So the bishop could have come out here. Of course, then if he comes here, you got the knight. If he comes here or here, you got the knight, which is a natural developing move with tempo. And then you have to go back anyway. So who knows? Unless you find another doodah in here, which you probably don't. You could probably come out to here and hit the weakest pawn on the hit the F2 on the white, but that'd be a bishop sacrifice and you're not developed enough. So this is interesting. Now, amazingly, Evans pulls the queen out really early too. Now, it's not a lone queen, but I mean, it's the lady all by herself, and he castles. Evans' opponent castles. And Evans. Now, the reason he brought the queen out, of course, is so that he could castle, but he castles on the queen's side. The rule is everybody start going for the king. Everybody start going for the king. That's the rule when you opposite castle. So let's see what kind of a fight we have. And immediately his opponent answers the call. Here come the pawns. This is what you do. You attack that king, right? And Evans goes to h4. This is what you do. You attack that king side. So they're both playing really good. And now watch. C will take the d4. Interesting removal of a center pawn. And the knight will come to e2. And the knight will come up to c6. So the development begins to get intense. And now f4. This is what you do. You throw those pawns up against the king, hopefully with the pieces backing those pawns, not in front, but behind them. That way they make the most effective battering rams. Queen a5, look at this. Here comes the little lady marching out. 3 pieces, well, 4 pieces developed for black. This makes sense. Going to take the long diagonal down to e1, a5 to e1 diagonal, which is a really powerful diagonal, keeping the king in this corner, right? So this is going to get really tense. And Evans, you gotta protect the a pawn. And basically at this point, when you castle queenside, is you move the king over one. So now the a pawn's taken care of. So that's not a waste of a move at all on Evans. Watch this fantastic move, and he gets an exclamation point for it. Evans' opponent proceeds to push the double pawns. Now, again, I've said stuff like this. You've seen it in other videos. The double pawn is only a weakness if you can blockade it. Otherwise, don't poo-poo this setup. And look where it's at, right in the center of the board. The middle. Beep, beep, beep. Bonus, baby. That's where you want it. Look, they control this square, this square. They control this square, this square. That's in white's territory. This is really good, and it's not blocked. So he's pushing it, attacking the knight, and breaking up the king side. Guess who's lurking? Guess who's coming into this? And look at who is also pointing this direction. So this is a great move. Now, what was the rule? When you see an opponent do something on the side, you attack in the center. So this is great chess. Yes. C will take d3, not the rook, but the c pawn. So now there's a file up for grabs, the c file for the rooks. Yes. And they both see that without question. They really do. Bishop d7, bring in the bishops. Fundamentally so. You notice they're both developing extremely well. The center is pretty clogged, right? So, and that's When you opposite castle, that side for them, white came this way. The center usually is pretty clogged up, and that's why he castled this side. So that's the side you're going to play on is black. He castled that side. That's the side you're going to play on for white. The first one that gets to him, sack, 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 mate, is Fisher's formula. That's what we want to see happening here, regardless of what side. Rook h3, a very interesting rook lift because he's not getting developed fast enough. His bishop, and this is unfortunate for his development, his bishop's not going to get out anytime soon. And his knight is going to impede the bishop getting out very soon and being very effective. So lift the rook, because the rook is the third most powerful piece on the board. The king, then the queen, then the rook. So get the rook active. So this is a good rook lift. And sure enough, look, rook on the open file, the only open file. Yes, sir. And it just happens to be on the side that the king castled to. So this is becoming a terrific battle. It's so terrific that the whole chess world is earthquaking. Can you see that? This is going to be a magnificent battle. Rook will come to g3. Checkmate threat already. Did you notice that? One more move and the game's over. That is a direct threat, and it is such a threat that you must address it. You know, I've said before, well, ignore your opponent's threats. Well, when they're this strong, you can't, or you lose. So what that tells us is, for the moment, Evans has the initiative without question. Evans is leading the charge. How do you stop this? His power gives us the impression that it's all on this side, which is where it ought to be. He does have a support. His pawn structure isn't damaged. He does have a bishop here that can keep his eye on this side, but against a queen and a rook drilling down that G file, and the potential for a knight to bump up into here is huge. So you push the G pawn. At this point, that's all you can do. And yes, that G pawn supported H6 and F6. Now that it has moved, we see the weaknesses. Every pawn push leaves behind weaknesses. That's why you don't want to push your pawns too far forward, too fast, too early in the game, because they can never come back. And every time you push a pawn, you leave weaknesses. So the first cracking of the king side has occurred, and that's not to say that's a weak move. It's not a weak move. It definitely prevents the checkmate, so you can't call it a weak move. When your opponent plays on the wing, you attack in the center. When your opponent plays on the wing, you attack in the center. Memorize that rule and you will do very well. Where does he go? And you go, well, yeah, but he's not attacking. No, he's not. But he is answering the wing play with center play, and it does reinforce yet again the most forward E pawn, which is invaluable because it's giving white enough space that it's kind of cramping black, and he can coordinate his pieces better. Look, the rook and the queen are really well coordinated at this point. Yes, they're stymied. We get that. But they're coordinated. Once the knights start jumping up into here, this knight's only 2 hops away. And then you've got all kinds of tactical opportunities in just 2 more plays. So this extra space, one of the Silman imbalances, is one you really need to pay attention to. So this is going to be very interesting and true to form. Now, this is so good. I want to point this out to you because we must, as much as possible, ignore our opponent's threats and work our own plan. Now, the plan we've already been over. The plan here, go get that king. The plan here, go get that king. So where does black move? B5. Push the pawns, make them battering rams, make sure you've got pieces to support them, which black does. The queen is going to be behind as the pawn goes up. The knight is just right here, touching this base of the pawn chain. The bishops are coming this direction as well as that direction. Notice how centrally beautiful those bishops are placed. They keep their eyes on both wings. So this is a great setup, but that is the correct answer. Yes. What's he do? H5. Now the race is on. You can see that they're each attempting to get a battery going. They want to blow the king side open. White gets there first. H5, the trumpets blare. Yeah. The trumpets blare. Big deal. No, watch. It is a big deal. Knight B4. Now, I just said put the pieces behind the pawns, right? But with the knight B4 coming and running interference, look at this. He's got more space on the the queen side. And now he's coordinating his pieces. He's getting a screaming attack. Go, look who owns the file. Look where the queen can come next. So this is serious. White is just a mosquito's mustache hair away from being in serious trouble. And yet so is black, because black's going to get pried open. What do you do when you see this? If you're Larry Evans, what would you do? How would you play this? A3, of course. And you say, wait a minute, you just told us to ignore the opponent's threats. Not if it's checkmate, you don't. You notice how each one, they forced each other to respond to some threats. That's not passively responding to every single one of your opponent's moves, because we see both of them implementing their plan. These guys are together. This H pawn has been roaring up. The F pawn is coming up in place. So he's not just reacting to black. Black is not just reacting to white, because his B pawn is up here. He's got the open file. He's got the pieces, and they're coordinated. He's got the bishop coming here. They're coordinated for an attack. So this is remarkably interesting. A3 is the only real good move at this point, no question. And now he drives the knight back to C6. Good job, Larry. For now, you have forestalled a major problem, and now you pursue your plan over here. H takes the G pawn. Here we come. F will respond. F takes the G pawn. We're up for the battle, and now knight to c3, and he gets an exclamation point on that. He is the knight's okay there. There's not a lot of he ain't doing much. This guy doesn't need support. This guy doesn't, well, he doesn't need support. He's got the rook. So really, one of the quieter pieces that's not doing a lot that can be put into a much stronger position is the knight. So put him on knight c3 and just tickle this pawn and keep your eye on this pawn. It also blocks the rook. And you say, well, yeah, his own knight is, yeah, but that's not permanent. This could be permanent, except for the pawn. But now you've got this to battle that out, and this is blockaded. So that's a great outpost on a defensive maneuver to prevent, because the king is cut off. The king's not going to be able to run away. So black has been tightening his noose. That is what makes this such a good defensive move. And watch b4. Keep going. Keep going. God, monsieur, I feel a fight. The fight is on, baby. He's continuing his plan. Fabulous chess. Now, you look at your position. This guy has put all of his pieces into the battle. You haven't yet. So now this is an attacking game. There's no question about that. Very little room for defense. You're not going to maneuver safely back and forth and take a walk in the woods and pick the dandelions and, give them to your sweet love with a piece of chocolate. Oh, no, this is a fight. So what do? You get your last lazy piece and get him in the game. A very great way to put him on, because he's hitting here. You've got the rook queen battery hitting here. And guess who? Once again, we see this principle, and it's so important. It's so easy to do, and yet we overlook it sometimes, and we shouldn't. But I'm going to reemphasize this because it is very useful whenever you have a chance. Put a queen across from your opponent's king, or a rook across from your opponent's king, or a battery across from your opponent's king. That, when you see this happening to you, you need to set yourself up that you have a signal inside of you that goes, you have to have an alarm go off. Even if there's pieces between, even if there's pieces in the way, you've got to keep track of this, because this is the basis for tactical play. This is where tactics come in all the time. That's why it's done. So now, see, how many, what, 3 or 4 or 5 of the previous videos I've done just this last couple of weeks, we've seen this. This is a pattern that everyone does, and so we need to put the rook or the queen or both right in front of your opponent's king. Now, okay, now I've emphasized that enough, but really, truly, now bring your other piece who isn't doing a lot and hit the last remaining guard of the wall around you. Okay, now black, you got to pay attention, and he does. Now, this is basically with this strong of a setup, you have to respond. So again, Larry Evans has the initiative. He's calling the shot. Okay. So, but Bishop E8 is not a bad move. Look at the power of the bishop as a guardian of the king side here. He is helping maintain and support the wall. That's good chess, you guys. Look at this rook next to the king who has a partial open file. His own pawn is gone. So this gives him much greater length and distance and power hitting the base of this cramping central spacey pawn chain, which has done nothing but benefit white. There's a great lesson for you. So this becomes an important thing also. Now, of course, he's covered. Yeah, I get that at this point. He's covered. It's all good. I'm just saying maintain the pressure and the influence and the support as you can. Okay? So Bishop E8 is a terrific defensive move here. Now he makes a move that gets him two, count them, 1, 2 exclamation points. Can you see the move? Very interesting. I'll pause for a moment. Get me a swig of go-go juice. And now what do you think? You look at your position. These guys are just doing fantastic. They're earning their keep. This guy's earning his keep. This guy is earning his keep. He's been earning his keep because he's been supporting the base of this magnificent space-gaining central pawn wall against being disintegrated. This guy's doing his job. Notice he is being attacked. Notice he is being attacked. Notice that this little lady is getting close. And he's still at now. Granted, there's now some pieces in the way, but this king is still stuck on this side of the board, right? So this is a crucial period. What you need to do is make sure that everybody in your army clocks in and goes to work. What's the one piece you haven't utilized? Right. The knight. All right, you sluggard. Get to work, you. Most excellent. Now you've got them all working together. You look for the piece that you could improve. And I mean as far as power, or if they're not doing a lot in the position on the board where you have them, maneuver them so that they're in a better position to do more for you. So this is a wonderful move. Knight F3, and that got him 2 exclamation points. He's leaving nothing out of this. Neither one of them. Oh, and then black flinches. B takes A3, and that is a question mark. Oops. Doggone it. He's trying to make progress, right? He's trying to open up the king side. So the thing is, he really is going to be able, look, if white does something stupid over there, and this guy also can take this pawn, that's dangerous, man. Seriously. And you go, well, why didn't you just take the knight? Yeah, I'm with you. I get it. But he did take the pawn. His rook is going to stay here to keep the king pinned in. You want to keep that king on that side. You don't want him wandering off over here. You'll never catch him because there's too much hiding places over there. Keep him over here. So the rook is doing a good job. No, it's not directly across from the king. It's corralling the king. Okay? So how do we deal with this? That's the question. And the response is what? Now, I've already said this a couple times in this video, so this is really important. Where is he attacking? On the wing. What is the common chess wisdom when your opponent is attacking on the wing? If you said the center, you go to the head of the class. So the next question is, what's your next move? Where would your next move be? Right? It's Alulu, and it got him 2 exclamation points. Queen takes E6 at the base of the pawn chain. Check. You see, the wing play gave rise to center play and check to the king. So the king doesn't have to scurry because black has been paying attention to the storm clouds coming on the horizon, and he has a very powerful defender in the bishop. He brought the bishop back here. Now he can put him there. Nice. Take that, Larry Evans. Great defensive move. Look at the power surrounding the black king. Man, he's not alone. That's a fortress. That is like Constantinople was in the Middle Ages. You know, they had like 57-foot thick stone walls and stuff. Well, there you go. 2 of the bishops. You got a knight somewhat halfway between, and you got the solid rook, and the rooks are connected on that back file. So we're talking seriously impenetrable fort. That is a great defensive move. Now, the reason I am making such a big whoop-de-doo is because now Evans gives us his 3 exclamation point move. What do you think it is? No, I'll give you a moment. Not a worry, because this just blows your mind. This is a 15-year-old kid playing a chess master. And ain't none of us, when we were 15, would have even known how to make this next move. Not a chance. All right, I'm projecting my own inadequacy a little bit onto you. You guys probably could have. There's no way I would have. This next move is absolutely the most beautiful thing I have ever seen to coordinate and cooperate and attack, because you're going to lose your queen. Get her to safety has to be the first rule. And if you did that and you looked at the moves that you could use with the queen to get her to safety, you failed. Ignore the threat. You have a spectacular move with the bishop taking G6. 3 exclamation points. Holy cow. That is phenomenal. Now, the fortress is impenetrable, and yet Larry Evans penetrated it and says, you don't scare me. I can pierce that thing real easy. What do you do? What are you going to do? I mean, he's closing seriously in on checkmate right now. For real. No joke. You can't take the queen with the bishop. Man, I hope you see that. You can't do that because you're going to be in a vicious discovered check once that bishop moves away. And you can put that bishop anywhere. And then when he moves over, the bishop can take this guy, for instance. You got another rook ready to come into here to mate you. So what looked impenetrable was if you would have done a defensive play and moved your queen away to safety. Instead, he went right into the mouth of the lion and pulled both of its wisdom teeth. The lion is not purring. There's nothing else you can do. Finish your own attack. Finish your own attack. A takes B squared. B squared. Sorry, I did some math earlier today. I've got math on the brain. A takes B squared. Oh my gosh. I'm probably the only dingling chess commentator that's ever done that. Ha! Checkmate, next move, guys. Check. Well, no. No, just check. He'll come to here, but you've got the knight to here. Yeah, it's still tricky. But he can get some attack going here. So this game is by no means over. What happens? Bishop takes 8-7 check. Another exclamation point. Double check. Bishop and rook, meaning the king has to move. So the king goes to h8. You can't take the bishop or its mate. You got this other rook coming in over there to h1. So you use the bishop as your own shield. His own man is blocking the checkmate. So what do? Well, you get patient and you make another dandy move. Put the queen over there on the h-file. Why not? Isn't that amazing that the queen was being threatened, that the bishop blew in there, took the pawn away, and it was also being threatened. And yet, because of the nature of the setup, because Evans put his rook across from his opponent's king, he didn't lose either the bishop or the queen. He still got him. That kind of an attack loses the piece. That's called a piece sacrifice. Evans tried to get the piece sacrifice, but it worked out to where he didn't have to sacrifice him. He just blew the king open. That is amazing. Now, here we go. Unfortunately, okay, now, this had to have taken some serious calculation. He had to put the queen here as one last move before he gets the final checkmate. Did he blow it? Because now black's attacking. Notice how close this battle is. Nip and tuck, man. This has to be making you sweat off of your earlobes in nervousness. What do you do here? Well, you got to move the king, c2. Okay. What have you got? You got bishop b1, check, queen. The rook can take that queen. That's true, which does happen. Now you've got the knight b4 check. Here comes the coordinated forces because he pushed his B and C pawns. He gained the open file. He's pinned the knight to the king, and now he's bringing in all of his other forces. Is black gonna pull this game out? King to d1. And it is here that black resigned. Because he had a few spike checks, but not enough to win the game. You can't take the rook, the knight guards it. You can't take the knight and keep checking, And if you can't bring the rook into it to check, you could bring the queen up to here to check, but you lose the queen to the knight. Then you could bring the rook down to here and check, but the rook will just take your rook. There's no way to keep checking. The reason you have to keep checking the white king is because this game is so close that you must make forcing moves. You have to continue checking till you checkmate. Otherwise, if you give your opponent just one move, it's over. Bishop G8, mate. That's why he resigned. Because he couldn't keep checking enough to get to the mate. His own pawn, once again, I do want to point this out, because this was such a significant factor in giving white the space he needed. His own pawn in the endgame betrayed his bishop, and his bishop couldn't get down here to help out to check the king, to continue trying to checkmate the king, because it was blocked early and it stayed there. This bishop would be ineffective, of course, because it's a dark square bishop, king's on a light square. You just can't keep doing enough forcing moves. He ran out of forcing moves. Blam. Now that is simply one of the greatest chess games I have ever seen for such an incredible, talented youth. We don't hear a lot about Larry Evans anymore for the very simple reason that he came into chess prominence exactly when Bobby Fischer did. And Bobby Fischer eclipsed everybody in America for the first 25 years of his life. He got so bored of winning the U.S. championship that he quit playing in America for a while and went overseas. That's how good he was. I mean, we're talking Sammy Reshevsky was there, Ruben Fine, another one that you don't hear a lot about, who was an absolutely astonishing chess player. I've been going through some games. I've got some fantastic games of these guys. You don't hear about them much because of Bobby Fischer. So I'm thrilled that I could share this magnificent game of just a very young, upcoming 15-year-old Larry Evans, who went on to become an international grandmaster. And he was a magnificent chess player. Where's my book that I wanted to read this brief little idea of who this guy was? Yes, after World War II, a number of new stars began to appear on the American chess scene. One of the most impressive was Larry Evans. He's born in 1932. He reached master strength at the near prodigy age of 15. In 1957, as a result of various international successes, he was awarded the title of International Grandmaster by the FIDE. In 1951, Evans won the U.S. championship ahead of Sammy Reshevsky, who had the bitter rivalry with Fischer, and all his other rivals. His career would have attracted more attention had he not been eclipsed by the greater name from America, the incomparable Bobby Fischer. So before Fischer, Evans had been the youngest who ever held the United States title. So Fischer became a professional, Evans became a professional publisher later on in life, and he produced chess columns and books. And I mean, he really helped spread the interest and greatness of chess throughout the Americas and internationally worldwide. So what a fantastic time to honor and be thankful this Thanksgiving season. Be thankful for such great, fabulous players like Larry Evans, and giving us such wonderful, instructive games to enjoy. So anyway, I have blabbered on enough, but this was a great game. I loved this game. I was blown away. I played through it several times. I still get something out of it. Excellent material. So thanks for watching the Backyard Professor videos. Thanks for all your support. I've had a couple of people ask me, how can we say thank you to you financially, monetary wise, however you want. PayPal, I do have PayPal right on my home page, just underneath my banner. If you would like to put $1 in there or $5, whatever, you can make it a daily contribution or a one-time contribution, a weekly, a monthly, an annual, however you want to do it is great. I would really enjoy that because I use that money to help me keep producing these chess videos, keep me up on the chess literature, etc., so that I can turn right back around and give you some wonderful knowledge and information. So I appreciate all your support. I am working on doing a chess live. I have not gotten to there yet. I will, though. I will. I think that could be a boatload of fun. So, anyway, be good, do well, have fun, make lots of friends, and come on back because I really do have a boatload more of chess to share with you for the next 88 years. Yes, I'm going to break the odds and do it. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you.